Welcome to another episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. I am your host, founder, and executive director of Voices for Voices, Justin Allen Hayes. Thank you for joining us, whether you're listening or whether you're watching this particular episode. We couldn't do this without you. If you're able to, subscribe, share, like, comment. That would be very helpful to us to be able to share the wonderful guests with you and with people in Northeast Ohio, across the United States, and across the world. And that is what we aim to do. We're reaching 50 countries, 500 cities already today, and we can't do this without you. And we thank you again for having the support of us at this time. And again, I say thank you 10 times. So today we're going to be doing part 2 of a 2-part series. You saw last week our wonderful interview with Brenda Justice, who works with the Akron Symphony Orchestra, but more importantly, is the founding president and chairperson of Power of a Dream, Sisters Helping Sisters Ministries, which is a 501c3. And we are going to continue our conversation and move into a couple fun topics, maybe. One's more funner than the other. And again, thank you for joining us, Brenda.
Thank you again.
Yeah. So let's start out talking. Okay, so Power of a Dream. You have how does the programming work, I guess, for Power of a Dream?
Well, how has it ended up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what.
It's been a process, but this is. We, Power of Dream, Sister Helping Sisters Ministries, we have different groups under our umbrella.
Okay.
And those groups address different areas of domestic violence and how we deal with them.
Okay.
Our first one, which is we've had from the very beginning, is called Cherish. Cherish the woman that God has made you. And I just want to say also, although we started out as a women's group, we always accept everyone, regardless. So men, you're also invited as well, because you never know, those topics might be for you as well. So I just wanted to say that, because sometimes people think it's only for women. And no, domestic violence is domestic violence and addresses everyone. But cherish the woman that God has made you. And that is for persons that have gone through domestic violence. They're in the middle of domestic violence, trying to get out, trying to find self, or they have already gotten out. Now, where do I go next? And also addressing the different things that led up to them going through domestic violence. Because a lot of times we're not aware of what led to domestic violence and how to get out of it and how to proceed forward. And then we have another group called the Women's Forum, Taking Care of Thy Wonderful Self. Our chairperson is Minister Nadine Bates, and it's all about self-care. Women and persons of having self-care, we do it 3 times a year. Okay. And we've had different people come in on the psychological part of it, on the as far as taking care of your health. There's different things that we have addressed in that area. Okay. We also we have the Everyday Brother. Now we just finished our 2nd year with the Everyday Brother. I thought that it's for those men who are abusers, for former abusers or been abused, because when you address the men, they're I know they're bad. I just know they've been the abused ones. I mean, the ones that have been abusers, and it's not always that way. It goes both ways, and people need to be open-minded about that. Don't just look one way. I thought that it was I like the everyday brother. I don't need lawyers. I don't need people with that big names. I don't need the. We need the everyday brother, the one that we see walking down the street, the one that has a story to tell, and maybe this is a way for them to let other brothers know how things work. So I thought that I could proceed on. Then I found that there's more to it than for men. I am a woman, so it's a little bit more difficult. So I have a male. Our male facilitator is Demond Secession, and he's also my advisor for that group. And so we did self-care for men this year. We also addressed the end of the year with sexual domestic violence. You know, we had a gentleman that did that from Kent State. He was an advisor for that. And we addressed a lot of things. We also did the mental. We touched base with the mental with Robert Hunt in the beginning of the year with NAMI. He's the president of NAMI. So we addressed a lot of things. We even did some scenes so people could see how to react back and forth. And then we do so many things. It's such a crazy year for us. But we also have on October, we have our domestic violence workshop. We do it every year. This is our, we've been in existence 16 years.
That's I knew it was over 10, so
yes.
16.
And so every domestic violence, we do our domestic violence workshop, but it's not just, just domestic violence in general. It's domestic violence in different areas. This year we did child abuse. One year we did elder abuse. Next year we're doing handicap abuse. Sometimes we do physical abuse. Sometimes it's all different types of facets of this. And I think people just narrow it down. But in addition to that, we have people come from different areas. We had someone from CASA come from the juvenile courts. We had someone from the prosecutors come, Prosecutor Elliott came one year before he became the prosecutor. We have different areas and different that we address, but we always end with testimonials, and also we have Brother George Head that does our self-defense. Okay. And self-defense is applied to whatever the topic is. How to like this year coming up, handicap. How do handicapped people use self-defense? People never address those things. We think outside of the box. That's what we do. Because it's nice that we can talk about it. We can talk to your blue. But what you're going to do about it, And we also had one where we addressed one year with the blind. People don't realize what the blind is going through. And some people, one lady was blind because of domestic violence. We've had all this. And I had another lady that, because when we did a general one of just the physical part of it, we had the one lady. She had her husband had thrown acid in her face, and she's had over 60-some surgeries. And she is an advocate, of course, and but those kind of things. People need to tell their story. Yes. And I had one lady come to our meeting that. Her boyfriend had hit her so hard in her chest it broke her chest bone, but she didn't leave him, because of fear. Fear is the main thing for domestic violence, and then of course, as you know, with all these things going on, we try to do fundraisers. Fundraisers are probably the worst part of this for me, because it takes a lot of effort. We always start off with a fish fry at my house. So we did the fish fry, which started to be more of a community thing for us now, and then we just do different things, raffles and different things of that sort, and of course the big one is our sixth annual Black Tie Fair that we have, and we always do it at the Akron Women's City Club, So but it's just so hard, It's hard to get people involved, and there's also so many organizations that I found out this year. Everybody's having a gala. Everybody's doing some kind of fundraiser, and it's all around the same month. By the time December comes, I'm sorry, or they have a preference. People don't realize that Power of a Dream, although we are a small organization, we're mighty. At the same time, we still help others, and I think in a way, sometimes people judge you. They don't understand how hard it is just to get to where we're at. It takes a lot of work and a lot of you have to be really persevere. And so I've been trying my best, and and I have an exec board as well. You know, do you mind if I say who they are, because they've been so loyal to me?
No, please do.
And, you know, everybody doesn't always agree, but we come to an agreement. And that's what I always say, because I have to be very open to hear what other people have to say. You know, although I might not always agree, but sometimes I'm not always correct.
Yes.
And so my vice president, who's been with on Power Dream for 16 years, is Minister Nadine Bates. We also have my sister, Carla Portis. She's also, she's our corresponding secretary and our outreach person as well. She loves people, and I always can count on her. She's very loyal. And she's also the co-chair for the Cherish group.
Okay.
You know. And by the way, Cherish meets every first Saturday of the month. Right. We take a break from, we only meet from March through December. Okay. Because it's a lot of work.
It is.
And at this point, we have programming, basically. And then we have Nancy Jacob. She's also a co-Cherish chairperson. And Artelia Mayfield, she's our member at large, and Anita Young is our member at large as well. So if I forgot someone, please forgive me. But we do. And then we have our advisory board. We have Ophelia Averett, we have David Syka, we have Robert Hunt, and we have Dr. Martha Banks. So that's my support team, you know, the head ones. And then of course we're always taking members as you know, as much as we can. And we also ask for those who are ready to volunteer, please be willing to do that for us. Yeah. So, you know, so that's what we basically that's what we're doing. Yeah. You know, we're just busy.
And to really take you know, what you said, talking about, you know, fundraising, events. There's so many like you said, there's so many organizations, and they're doing such great work. And we try not to be competitive, like in the corporate world, where we're like, oh, here's our competitors. But what we're finding, I'm sure you are as well, we all have competitors, even if we don't know it, if it's not verbalized, that for every dollar that an individual has, if they've been donating to an organization for 10 years, well, come year 11, they're going to donate to that same one.
Right.
And that's something that I've had to work on, just internalizing, not comparing our organization to an organization that's been around for 50, 60, 100 years, like NAMI, and to really start to try to grasp how to reach individuals where they're at, knowing that, you know, Akron Children's Hospital and certain ones are just like St. Jude's and Shriners. Everybody's doing incredible work, and it's much needed. But the fundraising part is probably the toughest. I would agree. And you and I and anybody who's leading an organization is the point person. Many times, if not always, we don't get paid. Like we don't, like if you donate $100 or $20, it's not like we're just putting that in our pocket.
No, not at all.
It's going into programming. It's going into what can we do, you know, next year.
Right.
You know, we were coming up short this year, and so I think just making sure an organization is a 501c3 while individuals are looking at organizations, that should be like the first thing that there's but I mean there's a lot of great foundations that are out there, but they might not be a 501c3 and it may be a family foundation, which I gotta watch. Speaking about certain certain terms and certain things,
Yes,
and
yes.
foundations is one of those. But there are, with that being said, there are organizations, whatever you want to call them, that they're in existence for the family.
Oh yes.
And so
yes,
that
yeah.
family is like, oh, well, we do this one thing a year, but and we've found a lot. There's just so many foundations, and they're getting. It just seems to be a popular thing for individuals, whether they're an athlete or entertainer. It's like, well, we got this foundation, and then the money goes there, and then they have family members on the board, and then they start divvying up the money that way. As far as like a tax, so they don't get taxed on the money. So for the individuals out there, the organizations that are looking for a sponsorship opportunity.
Oh my gosh.
Power of a dream, Voice for Voices. You can't go wrong with that. And I know you've had supporters, like I said, you wouldn't have been able to be in existence for 16 years if there weren't supporters. And the number one supporter, it's you and I.
Right, exactly, totally. And when we do this programming, because we both believe so much in what we do. And I don't know about you, but when it comes to financial support of what we do, if we don't have it, it comes out of our pocket.
Exactly.
And I wasn't going to address this, but you know what? I think that it needs to be addressed because we just started actually, at least me feeling that we are qualified for what is expected of us to apply for a grant. And people say, oh, they could have done this. Oh, why didn't they do this? Well, we're not ready. You have to be ready. And you have to have things in place. I'm not going to just, you got to be responsible for that money and make sure it does what it's supposed to do. And so we did get one grant last year. We got one grant last year. And then I started, this time I said, well, we're set up to the point now, but it's sort of like a programming.
Yeah.
We have speakers that come in for all of our groups. Sometimes it's just people that have, sometimes it's the testimonial part, but whatever it is, we're helping. And we're trying to get to that awareness of domestic violence. But this year we started doing the grants. And because now, your pockets get a little weak when you keep doing this.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
And you talk about inflation and then being an election year, a national election, where some individuals, maybe that's where maybe some of that money went. And I read some research that election years are like one of the hardest years to be able to obtain because it doesn't it's gone. It doesn't make me feel any better about the situation because to your point, we're reaching into our own pocket, and I've stated it publicly and many times about with our organization, I've put, and it's not the gloat or anything, but I put over $100,000 of my own money over the course.
Bless your heart.
And if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to go.
You can't do anything.
Can't do anything.
You can't even accomplish your goal.
No.
And and it's not in addition to that, it's hard to get sponsorships, because I personally think they're looking at the big corporations, organizations, or whatever it may be. And when you're the low person down here, it's like, what do you do different than what they do? But everybody can't help everybody.
That's right.
One organization can't help everybody. You got to spread it a little bit so that they can, because sometimes you get too big, you lose the little ones, and they might go back. You don't want that to happen. No. So they have to understand that we are just as important, and I truly believe that God didn't put this in my mind and feed this all to me, because He fed it to me,
Yeah.
It started off with just power, and I was listening to Whitley Phipps, and I was sitting in my chair, and I was like, and then the dream, power of a dream came up, and And then it was a building process for me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not something that I just said, oh, I'm just going to do it. It's scary to do this.
It is.
You know, it's very scary. And it's like, is anybody really going to come to my meetings today? Or, you know, what are you going to do? You know, but you know what we do also, I want to add this. And we have our meetings, so sometimes we notice that it is a little bit low in numbers. But now I Facebook Live because I found that some people come on, some people are ashamed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they're ashamed, and they don't want everybody to know their business, and they might, you know, be known or whatever it may be. But they can still listen to us, and it's recorded, and I put it on YouTube. And I'm pretty sure that you've been in a position where you probably had to teach yourself a lot of things because we can't afford to get a professional videographer or photographer, whatever it may be.
Yeah, for all the programming.
Yes, but thank God for Google.
Yeah.
So I've learned a whole lot of things. You know, I do my own grants, and you know, and we have somebody on our board that reviews them for me. But that takes a lot of time.
It does.
Oh my gosh! You have to break that. Oh, it's just something, and you just said, "Is this correct?" You go over, and you go over, and you go over, and it's like, okay. You know, you just have to be so correct, and then you never know when you get some of these grants. Sometimes you have to take care of the money beforehand.
Right.
You know, people don't look at that.
No.
And I'm like, that means I better have my savings together, because otherwise, you know, we can't accomplish this.
That's right.
So it's so many facets of it. Isn't it something amazing how things happen? Even I think my team doesn't even realize how much it takes to do these things. You know, because somebody said, well, why didn't you just tell us about that you need to do this? Operational cost. Just operational costs every month. Although we don't have a location, you know, a location for what we do a lot of things from the library, or, you know, or from the community center. But that takes money too. It takes ink, you know, you get paper, all these things, stamps, everything. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, and people look at like the one thing, like, oh, it's just a stamp or 5 stamps, but it's the accumulation of stamps plus ink plus paper plus rental fee plus this, and it's like, and that's just a smaller thing.
And then you look it up, you're like, oh wow, because just like when we did our black tie, I had to really think about some things. I wanted to have a photographer again, but I said, ladies, you will take your cell phones out and you will take pictures. Yeah. Because we cannot, and you know, I can.
And it's just as, I mean, as far as quality wise, I mean, that's what we do a lot.
And Google has it so that you can fix them up and everything. So I'm like, I'll deal with that. And then we couldn't have a DJ this year, but Plan B. A friend of mine brought her, you know, they had a list of Spotify, and we had, you know, we did I do believe in having live entertainment though, at some point. So my friend, and he's also my accompanist, Kenny McCorby, he did a lot of light piano music to set the mood. Right. You know, so we still had a wonderful evening. And you have to cut where you can cut. And but mainly it was very hard, you know. And the program booklets, that's another story, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, even just brochure. I mean,
exactly.
Anything. Well, it's just paper and ink. Oh, yeah, but how you can't.
Just like the brochures.
You print one? No, like I want that.
Well, let's print so many for this, and then we'll come back and visit it again. You know, that's what I do, like that one there. And then, but I do my own brochures, you know, and I did my own program booklet, because you have to learn. You can't depend on people to do things for you, because nobody has that passion or feeling that you have.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And it comes back to nobody is going to be as bought into the organization, the mission, the programming as you and I. And excuse me. And I found that too, where it's like, wow, there's people in there that they want to be involved, but I'm afraid they might take, you know, an idea here or there. Well, not while I'm.
You know, that's so true.
And I hate. I don't like to kind of verbalize it, but then it's like, well, who else is going to do it then? And then that's just extra work on myself. And it's a lot, and I think that for individuals just watching and listening, any organization takes a lot of time and attention. But you look at these, larger organizations, they have staffs of like 100, and they have volunteers that have been volunteering for years and years, and they have maybe different locations, different cities. They've grown to be able to do that. But you have to have people to do that because you're just one individual.
Right.
It's like, why can't be in Chicago and Miami or New York City? I got to be here, and how am I going to find out if they're doing what they're supposed to do and give them a budget? Like,
it's very serious here.
This is serious business. Yeah, you could tell.
Because they have to remember too. We have a job in addition to all this.
Right. To be able to do it.
Yes, and so you have family. So we have a lot of things going on in our own lives that we make time for what we feel that has been put on our heart.
Yes.
And I'm just going to mention this to you, but.
Nobody's listening or watching. Just people all over the world.
But we were talking earlier before we came on, and we were talking. I know many times. Sometimes people don't want to come to meetings because they don't want to hear what has to be said. And I was telling you about one of our facilitators was speaking for our black tie. And it was on, a testimonial that he was inspired to speak about because of our guest speaker, which was Teresa Stafford from Hope and Healing. And I was so amazed, and I'm still amazed. That's why I'm bringing it up again. I'm still amazed of how people can judge and how people are afraid to hear what might be in their own homes. I just think that I don't think we should judge anybody. I don't think we should put ourselves on a platform and think that we're better than anybody else, because we're not. Everybody has done something. Everybody is doing something. And that's what I'll say there. And but, and nobody's perfect, give people a break. You don't know what they're going through, and try to empathize with that person, because it's not fair. And when they address some situations at the black tie, I had someone call me about it, and they said, well, they're representing you, Brenda, And I said, and to myself, and so are you. So it gives me another mindset, because you have to accept people for who they are. And then I had another call the other day, and, everything would have been fine, but, maybe they shouldn't have been talking about what they were talking about. It was okay for the speaker to talk about it. Well, the speakers talked about it, so they can talk about it too. Yeah. And why should I shut anybody up when somebody needed to hear that? That's right. And somebody needed to be released from that. So I just feel that, when you have a guest speaker, I let them be who they are. Yeah. And I don't judge you, because I don't want you to judge me. Right.
Well, we're getting super close to an end, so I just wanted to thank you again for part one, part two.
Thank you.
We'll have you back, and potential podcasting, collaboration with organizations.
Yes.
Some fun things.
Yes.
So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us, our watchers, our viewers, our listeners. Until next time, I'm Justin Allen Hayes, founder and executive director of Voices for Voices, and please be a voice for you or somebody in need.